The ongoing debate about whether renting or purchasing a home is more cost-effective is a common topic. However, which one is the smarter financial choice? When renting, the total expenditure is simply the monthly rent you pay to your landlord, which you will never recover. For instance, if your rent is $2,000 per month, that amounts to $24,000 annually, and this amount disappears without any return. On the other hand, the expenses associated with homeownership go beyond the mortgage payment. These include both principal and interest payments, along with additional costs like property upkeep, maintenance, and other annual expenses. To make a fair comparison, we must determine the costs that you won't recover in each scenario. We want to figure out the real cost of homeownership and put it on a monthly scale to compare it with rent payments and decide which option is better financially. In theory, if owning a home costs less per month than renting a comparable property, purchasing is the preferable choice. The reverse is true if renting proves to be less expensive. Outlines 3 key elements of homeownership that we need to consider when calculating the monthly costs: property taxes, maintenance fees, and the mortgage payment. The mortgage itself includes 2 parts we'll discuss further today, but these are costs associated with ownership that renters do not face. Let's start with property taxes. If you own property, you're required to pay taxes to the government, which is a percentage of the home's value, annually. In the U.S., the average property tax rate is 1.11%. So for a $500,000 home, you would pay about $5,500 yearly. These taxes are money that won't be returned to you. Next, we have the cost of maintaining the property. Experts recommend setting aside between 1 to 2% of your home's value annually for upkeep. For simplicity, we'll use 1% in our example. So for a $500,000 home, that's $5,000 in annual maintenance costs. Up until now, we've identified the unrecoverable expenses, property taxes and maintenance, amounting to approximately 2% to 2.11% of your home's value. The next factor is the mortgage payment, referred to as the cost of capital. This represents the cost of using your money for the home instead of investing it elsewhere. Assuming a 20% down payment on a $500,000 home, you'd contribute $100,000 up front and finance the remaining $400,000 over a 30-year period. There are 2 elements to this: the down payment itself and the cost of the loan, or debt. When people talk about opportunity cost, it means that by using $100,000 as a down payment, you're not investing it elsewhere, like in the stock market. Historically, the S&P 500 has averaged a 7.19% annual return after inflation over the past 30 years, while residential real estate has appreciated at an average rate of 1.97% annually, adjusted for inflation. This gap of roughly 5% means that the $100,000 you use for a down payment could have earned an additional 5% per year if invested in stocks instead of real estate. To calculate this opportunity cost, we take 5% of $100,000, which is $5,000, and add it to the interest costs of your mortgage. Let's assume the mortgage interest costs $28,000 annually for a straightforward estimate. Adding the opportunity cost and the interest together, we get a total of $33,000 each year, which you will not recover. When we express this as a percentage of the home's value, we divide $33,000 by $500,000, which results in 6.6%. Thus, the cost of capital amounts to 6.6%. Now that we've added property taxes, 1.11%, maintenance costs, 1%, and the cost of capital, 6.6%, the total unrecoverable costs of owning this home are 8.71% annually. To figure out the monthly cost of ownership, multiply the home's price by 8.71%, then divide by 12. For a $400,000 house, that's $34,320 per year, or $2,860 per month. If renting a comparable home costs less than this, renting might be the better option. For instance, humans can often be impulsive, and someone might not invest their down payment wisely. There's also the benefit of mortgage payments acting like forced savings, as you gradually build equity in the property. Mortgage payments also follow an amortization schedule, where you pay less interest and more equity over time. The structure of your mortgage and interest rate can dramatically shift this cost, especially after 30 years when most of the mortgage has been paid off and you're left with just equity. Additionally, owning a home offers tangible assets that can appreciate in value over time. For example, homes can significantly increase in value, as seen with a property near me that sold for $599,000 in 1995 and was recently sold for $3.23 million. This far outpaces the average rate of home appreciation. Another benefit of owning a home is stability. With a fixed-rate mortgage, your payments remain consistent, making it easier to budget. Renters, however, face the risk of price hikes at any time. There are also less tangible benefits to owning a home, such as the ability to make improvements to the property without seeking landlord approval, and the assurance that you're not at risk of eviction because your landlord decided to sell. However, renting also has its perks, such as flexibility. If you decide to move, it's much easier to do so without the long-term commitment of a mortgage. Renting also avoids the responsibilities of property maintenance and taxes. Additionally, renting may grant access to great amenities like gyms, pools, and concierge services in certain buildings. Ultimately, the most important takeaway is that everyone's situation is different. Use the calculator and consider your specific circumstances, whether it's high mortgage rates, the desire for stability, or simply the flexibility to move as you wish. When rates are high, renting might make more sense in the short term. But if you're staying long-term and investing in the property, buying a home could be the more advantageous decision. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on renting versus buying in the comments, and check out my next video here.